Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really core task in financial accounting, matching payments to invoices inside SAP FICO. You know, if you get this wrong, it can lead to some seriously messy books and maybe some unhappy vendors. So let's break down how to handle general ledger clearing the right way, from the simplest payment to the more tricky ones.
So picture this, a payment from a customer finally hits your bank account. Awesome. But wait, what if it's not for the full amount of the invoice? How do you record that in SAP and make sure your financial records are still 100% accurate? Well, that's the exact problem we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan. First, we need to understand the problem, which means getting to know what SAP calls an open item. Then we'll dive into 3 different ways to solve it: the super straightforward full payment, the very common partial payment, and my personal favorite, the really elegant residual payment. By the end of this, you're going to have a crystal clear framework for handling any payment that comes your way.
All right, before we clear anything, let's ask a basic question. What are we actually trying to clear? It all boils down to one absolutely central concept in SAP.
In the world of SAP, an open item is basically any transaction that's still incomplete. Think of it like an unpaid invoice you've sent out, or a bill you've received but haven't paid yet. It's a financial loose end that just sits there, open, on your books, until a matching payment comes in to close the loop. Our goal today is to become masters at clearing these items perfectly.
Let's kick things off with the best-case scenario, the one we all love. The customer pays the exact amount of the invoice. It's clean, it's simple, no complications.
Okay, so in SAP, you're probably going to pop open transaction code F-07 for this. First, you fill in the basic stuff, the header data. Date, currency, you know the drill. Next, in the bank data section, you tell SAP which account the money came into and, of course, the full amount. Then you point the system to the GL account that has the invoice we want to clear. Now, once you hit Process Open Items, you'll see a list of outstanding invoices. And here's the key. When you select the right one, look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see amount entered should perfectly match amount assigned. If those numbers balance out to 0, you are golden. That's your green light to post.
And boom, here's the result. As you can see, the original invoice is now officially marked as cleared. And the payment document we just made, it's also cleared because it was a perfect match. We started with one open item, we now have 0. The books are perfectly, beautifully balanced.
Of course, life in accounting is rarely that simple, right? So what happens when a payment comes in, but it's only for part of the invoice? Let's take a look at how SAP handles that scenario.
The process starts out exactly the same, but this time in the bank data, you're going to enter the partial amount that you received, let's say $2,000. Now, when you process the open items, you'll see that the amounts at the bottom don't match. This is the fork in the road. Instead of the standard screen, you need to look for a tab that's labeled Partial Payment. Once you click on that tab, you just select the invoice you're paying against, double-click in the payment field, and SAP will apply that $2,000. Your entered and assigned amounts will balance, and you're good to post the document.
Now, this is a really important slide because you have to understand the outcome here. Look closely. The original invoice, it's still open. It knows a payment was made, sure, but it's not settled. And the new payment document you just created, it is also an open item. The system does this on purpose to keep both on the books, giving you a very clear trail of the original charge and the partial payment that came in against it.
Okay, but having 2 open items for a single transaction, that can get messy. It clutters up your ledger. It can make reconciliation a bit of a headache. So SAP provides a much cleaner, much more efficient alternative.
This is the residual payment method. This time, instead of the partial payment tab, you're going to click on the one that says Residual Items. And here is where the magic happens. When you select the invoice and enter the payment, SAP does 2 things at once. It clears the original full invoice and it automatically creates a new, smaller open item for just the remaining balance. It does all the math for you.
And just look at the result. The original $5,000 invoice is completely cleared. It is off your open items list for good. In its place, the system has created a single, new open item for the remaining $3,000. You started with one open item, and you still have just one. This is just a much cleaner way to track what's truly left to be paid.
So we've got 2 different ways to handle a partial payment. This is really where mastering SAP FICO comes in. It's not just about knowing how to do something, but why you'd choose one method over the other.
Let's just boil it down to the core question. What is the fundamental, crucial difference in what the system is doing, and what does that mean for your accounting?
Okay, here it is, side by side.
With a partial payment, the original invoice stays open, and you get a new open item for the payment itself. This leaves you with two separate items to track. Now, with a residual payment, the original invoice is completely cleared, and you're left with just one new, smaller open item that represents the true remaining balance. One item versus two. It's a huge difference.
So here's your decision guide, your cheat sheet. Use full payment when things are simple. Use partial payment only when your business process absolutely requires you to keep that original invoice number active for tracking, maybe for disputes or some kind of specific reporting. But honestly, for most cases, if you want to keep your ledger clean and your aging reports simple, residual payment is the superior choice. It closes the old transaction and gives you one single clear record of what's left.
All right, so to wrap it all up, open items have to be cleared by payments. Full payments are the clean and easy way. Partial payments keep the original invoice alive, leaving you with two open items, and residual payments clear the original and create a new one just for the balance. Your choice really just comes down to what your specific business needs to track and report on.
And I'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. We've focused on GL accounts today, but this exact same logic, full, partial, and residual, is the foundation for managing your vendor payments in accounts payable and your customer collections in accounts receivable. So start thinking, how can you apply these methods to make those processes even cleaner and more efficient? Thanks for joining me.